Well, the apparel and textile industry in Kenya is at a crossroad. Over the last 10 or 15 years, I mean, the market has been growing at a rate of more than 15%. And one of the driving factors of this growth has been the AGOA Act that gives African countries, duty-free access to the American market, bearing in mind that, the American market is the second biggest market in the world after the Chinese market. But it's good to remember that the AGOA Act is expiring in about 4 years from now. And the question is, what is the way forward for manufacturers, who have invested billions of shillings into this industry? Well, that is the question. And a lot of players are hoping that the ongoing discussion for a free trade agreement with the United States, will be inched sooner than later so that, Kenya can continue accessing the American market. We want to discuss these dynamics plus more. Joining us here is Rudolf Isinga. He's the managing director of New Wide Garments, one of the largest exporters of apparel and textile in the United States under the AGOA Act. Thank you so very much indeed, Rudolf, for finding time to be with us here. First of all, give us a feel of how is the market now?
Well, apparently when the COVID hit the country, we had some challenges because there was the market, there was a shrinkage of market because most of the supply chains were closed and we were not able to produce. So we just picked up some 4 months ago and the market is now open. We are back to manufacturing again. So we hope that we shall continue because this COVID is here to stay. We decided that let us just follow the protocol of these COVID rules and then continue, pick up the pieces and move on with life. Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about, the COVID-19 and the impact it had on your industry.
Yes.
Look, I mean, when we were at the deep end of the COVID-19 pandemic, and I'm talking about the period from around April to around September last year, when, borders were closed, there were very tough curfews and inter-county movement, was somehow curtailed. This affected, production in many parts of our country. How badly hit were you by these measures put by the government?
In the first place, our company employs about 6,000 employees. And this thing came in as a shock because we could not do anything because it was a global pandemic. And then we were trying to see how we can mitigate to make sure that these employees, they don't lose jobs. I remember in March 24th, we went to State House and we had some discussion so that we can be given some stimulus package and see how instead of sending these employees home empty-handed, maybe they can have something at the end. But it was a little bit challenge because the country also said they don't have enough revenue. They are below the threshold. So what we did, we had a very good discussion with our employees, those who understand because information is power. And they agreed that, okay, let us proceed on leave and come back when things are normalized. So because by virtue of having so many employees, we decided to use an integrated communication through Safaricom to call them back. Then we had some production processes on the floor, but the market was closed in America. So we decided to continue with what we had. Unfortunately, the orders also, some orders were cancelled. So we were again to see how many employees we can retain. Maybe 1,000 go home, then we remain with 5,000 to cash on our projection. That's exactly what we did. But we are trying to see whether we can go back to full capacity, because now the market is now opening up slowly, so that we continue with our production.
And also, one of the countries that is hardest hit by the coronavirus pandemic, happens to be your biggest market, and that is the United States. When you compare, when you combine the impact here because of coronavirus and the impact of joblessness in the United States, whereby a record 14 million people are out of jobs. You know, they have lost their jobs, you know, in the last 1 year. And when you lose your job, I mean, this suppresses your purchasing power. And so the purchasing power parity is also likely to go down.
Yes, yes, yes.
And when the purchasing power parity goes down, I mean, you're also likely to see high levels of poverty, you know, coming up. And when people are poor, they are more concerned about what they're going to eat next and where they're going to sleep. You know, what they're going to wear may not be a big issue. So how has this impacted on, number one, your bottom line, and number two, your production?
Well, we were very much affected, and what we did, we took some mitigation measures by trying to produce some masks, which were also on a very high demand by that time. You know, navigating from the normal garments that we are manufacturing to the PPEs. That's exactly what we did, but which was not enough. It could not sustain the production, but at least it kept some employees in the factories. And because you see, like in America, the market, once they were hit by COVID, the market was closed. There was no export to US. So we were to now navigate it by doing the local PPEs and see whether we can help the local community. We even supplied some for free as a CSR, and we managed to keep some few employees, because you see these employees, as you said, if you leave them outside, there's a lot of insecurity and poverty, and they're able to, to meet their domestic utilities and what have you. It becomes a challenge to our side.
Was demand in the US suppressed?
It was suppressed.
By what margin?
Well, because when we look at our projection, we were doing like 80%. It went down to 20%. Completely 20%. Then now we are now picking up, because we need to, again, to reposition ourselves in the same market and see whether we can now win the same buyers. Yeah, that's exactly what we are doing now.
So right now you're at what percentage?
We are around 60. We've moved up to 60, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
When do you expect to go back to pre-COVID levels?
We are trying to see in the next 2 or 3 months. If things improves, then the other buyers will have opened up the market. Then we can capitalize on that. Yeah.
And let's also talk about, you know, alternative markets. And I remember some times back, I think it was 2017 or 2018, you know, when the government came up with an initiative, you know, of giving EPZ-based companies, textile and apparel companies, you know, a chance to sell to the Kenyan market. And I remember the initiative was being driven by the Cabinet Secretary then for Trade and Industrialization, Aidan Mohammed, who is now the CS for East African Communities. And somehow they were very popular. I remember, you know, going to the KICC, whereby, you know, by around 4 p.m., I mean, you couldn't find anything. People used to wipe everything off the shelf. How did that initiative get scuttled?
Well, it was a very good initiative, because actually with us we make world-class products, and there's no way we can be exporting to America and while our people also have a demand on the same products. So the president came, His Excellency the President came up with a very good idea, and we managed to convince Kenyans that the products that we're making are world-class, and they are also accessible. Because by then, because there's a restriction, because EPZ being a bonded factory, you're not allowed to sell to the local market because of the tax factor. So we managed to do the exhibition, and it was marvelous. We did it in KICC, we did it in Mombasa, we went to Nyeri. We covered at least 3 counties. But unfortunately, we could not go far, because, you know, there was a bit of politics, because we had told those Mitumba guys to come and buy from us. And they say, no, we still have, they say that we still have, we have invested a lot in Mitumba, we cannot just face it out immediately. We said, now, let us embark on Build Kenya, Buy Kenya, Build Kenya initiative, which is one of the best. But I think the negotiations are still going on. I don't know whether the government will also allow us to continue with the same. Yeah, we hope that it will be a very good, because when you sell a product, but rather than buying a mitumba from the market, you come and buy some good quality garments and you're putting on, you feel so good. It's manufactured by Kenyans. Yeah, that is our pride. So we are trying to negotiate and see whether we'll go back to the same. See how Kenyans can also access the same product. They should not just have a mindset of saying these guys are manufacturing products for only export. They cannot sell to us.
And those exhibitions went ahead to confirm that yes, indeed, there is a ready market for Kenyan-made apparels.
Yes,
there is a demand for Kenyan-made apparel. The issue was about, you know, taxation.
Taxation, of course.
The importers of second-hand clothes.
We were given some exemption so far by the government from that, because that was, we were doing it on pilot running to see how to test the market. And we saw a very big, a huge crowd coming to buy. That was a very good idea the president came up with. It's only that in any business there is politics. You might be doing something good, but people somewhere, they come in with politics that these people are now wiping mitumba. We have employed so many people there. They are not looking at these mitumbas where they're coming from. These guys are milking money because you have to send money to abroad. We are losing a lot of foreign, billions and billions of foreign exchange, sending to US and any UK to buy those mitumba. I mean, the idea of...
And you see, the paradox is that, I mean, we could be importing second-hand clothes that were manufactured here in Kenya.
Yes.
And then we imported them as second-hand clothes from the US.
Yes. And
this somehow, and even though the jury is still out, you know, whether, you know, second-hand clothes, you know, you know, an avenue for rich countries, you know, to dump, you know, their clothes, you know, they use clothes, you know, to poor countries.
Yes.
The jury is still out. I know it's a very hot issue and hot topic here. But I'll be coming back to that. So, is there a way that we can have a situation whereby local manufacturers of apparel and textile are allowed to sell into the Kenyan market, because apparently there is huge demand?
There's a huge demand. Let's we look at the percentage that we're given. Like us, let's say we make like 2 million pieces a month, and then you're given an option of selling 20%. Let's say that is around, you're talking about 400,000 pieces. When you look at what you're dumping into the market, find that the market also is there, but now the capacity for those quantities that are being dumped there, you'll find that some of them might not be, you'll have to return with them to the factory, because some will come and buy 2 pieces, 3 pieces, and what have you. Well, the idea was, I was looking at an idea of this manufacturing sector. Why don't we devolve it to both counties? Then those counties manufacture, in each and every county we give them a ratio of, let's say, 10%. Instead of concentrating the manufacturing in Nairobi, we devolve the manufacturing of this apparel to counties. We have 47 counties. People are able to set up some factories in those counties. The government can fund setting up the factories, ultra-modern factories, and invite investors to come and manufacture there. Then in County A, we give them like 10% to offload, 5% depending on the capacity. That one will be driving our economy. At the same time, people will be accessible to buying, because there is a demand in Kisumu. Now it means you have to take exhibition to Kisumu. But if you have, we have a factory based, like an EPZ factory in Kisumu, people just buy. They'll go walk in, walk out and buy the garments there. So the initiative that we had for exhibition, like let us take it to Mombasa. We have to travel all the way to Mombasa, do the exhibition. There are people in Eldoret who wanted also to buy. So they say, where do we buy them? We told them, come to the factory. They say, this situation of clearing the goods out of EPZ, there's a lot of bureaucracies and what have you. That's what I'm talking. I say, no, you'll be helped because the custom officers are there to help you. Well, I'm looking at, we are looking at creation of employment. I've traveled to several countries.
Yeah.
And I've seen how they have tried to stop employees from migrating from the rural to urban. The factories are just at the doorstep.
Yeah.
We have 47 counties, let's say. If you set up a factory like the one we have in New Aid, which is employing 6,000, each and every county. Yes. In each and every county, we have 6,000 people. You see, we'll have created employee. Direct employment is 6,000. Indirect is about 30,000 because each employee maybe has an extended family.
Yeah.
Then we have what we call backward leakages. The suppliers, insurance, shipping lines, real estate, they will come and set up some houses and whatever. By doing so, we'll transform
the multiplying effects will be huge.
Of course, will be huge. And this is an opportunity that the government should look and capitalize. We exploit it to the letter so that we can fix the unemployment issue in this country.
You know, when you look at the industrialization agenda, it talks about, you know, giving incentives, you know, to companies to set up their bases, you know, at the county levels.
Yeah.
And one of them is, you know, through tax holidays, you know. Is this happening, or this is just another document, you know, developed by our state bureaucrats that has never seen the light of the day?
I mean, I've always said that the principle of comparative advantage applies to each and every investor who is coming to invest in the country. He looks at, if I invest in Garissa, I punt in like 2 million or 3 million, what is my returns? Am I going to recover my investment? So the government, they have that investment, they have that incentives, but there's no awareness. And also the county government should come up and say, look, we have to fix this employment as soon as possible because we have so many people idling. We are now exploiting our human resource. These people should be working somewhere, but you find them on the street. As you see, when you see a politician passing here, I was in Taiwan, I saw the Prime Minister passing, nobody waved for him because everybody's busy. When I went to Thailand, the same thing, people are busy. Now, why? They devolve all the manufacturing to the county level. Now, there's no migration of people coming from the rural to the urban. Now you find that those people are all empowered. Now, when they're empowered, you see, even you can now export human resource. There's exportation of human resource, which is also another way of empowering our Kenyans, because you can even send them, because I have some who are working in Ethiopia from our factory. There are some who are working in Egypt.
From your factory here in Nairobi?
Of course, yes. Egypt,
and they're working in Ethiopia.
They're working in Ethiopia and they're earning money from there. So we can still export the human resource, because Kenyans, if you look at the Human Development Index of our country, it's very high. We have the best human resource in Africa. And the only thing is to fix the economy by, devolving the manufacturing to the rural, to the county level, so that those graduates that are being offloaded to the market are being employed within those factories. Because this factory is an all-inclusive factory, from the graduates to the skilled labor to everybody. They can still join those factories and build the economy. Yeah, that is my suggestion, because I've seen.
I've been trying to imagine that, county officials as well as national government officials, they have not seen these from the angles that you are seeing them, or is it there is no political will? Or?
I think it's just what we call it, laxity and lack of implementation. Because if you travel to other countries, let me just ask you, we have a factory in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The distance from Addis Ababa to Djibouti, because that is a landlocked country, is 1,000 kilometers. And these factories that are based in Bole are able to export to US market, despite the distance. The distance is 1,000 for them to go to the catch up, and with a lot of bureaucracies that, they don't have an integrated system of care the way we have here. What will stop you from putting a factory in Malaba down, in Nyeri, and export to Uganda? There is infrastructure in a place. The roads are accessible. There is SGR in Naivasha. Can we, make use of that SGR and start exporting containers to US? And for your information, there are so many local investors who are interested in industry. I've seen it happening in EPZ. They are now applying. They come for me. advise them to set up a factory and also try to see how they can join the business so that people should not think that EPZ is a foreign-oriented business. It's only for foreigners, but locals are not allowed. If you open up an avenue for the investors to come to a place like even Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, set up a good factory there, or you set up an ultra-modern factory and sell it to investor, I'm telling you, you'll be surprised. People will apply for that go down, and they will come and invest into that into the counties, and they will employ people there. We'll be now driving the economy at a very high speed.
But there is a very high concentration of, setting up industries in Nairobi, in Mombasa.
That is undoing.
And yet, the reason why, the country adopted, a devolved system of governance back in the year 2012 was to devolve everything, not just leadership, but also, industrialization, infrastructure, the economy. How comes, counties are yet to become, the centers of industrialization in this country? I mean, when you look at industry, the concentration of industries in this country, you'll be talking about 3 or 4 counties. You're talking about Nairobi, you're talking about Mombasa, you're talking about Machakos because of Athi River. You're talking about Nakuru County. That's all. Yet you have 47 counties. And some of them, like for example, the county of Kericho, the counties of Uasin Gishu, they are rich in agriculture. How comes we are yet to see the counties here, attracting investment in agro-processing? What's not happening?
I think I've seen the EPZ as a parastatal. They have tried to involve the counties, and I've seen them signing MOUs. But now the problem is implementation. I can give you an example of Honorable His High Excellency Charity Ngeru when she came to our factory, and she promised that I'm going to set this factory in Kitui. Within 4 months, I think, she was running up and down, and the factory is now running. So people, we need an affirmative action. We need to talk to these governors and tell them, look, don't talk about unemployment. We have an access market to US. There's free trade agreement that is being, negotiated, which will open up the doors for export to US. The market is so big, and the roads are. Our Kibaki's regime, they did a lot of infrastructure on the road, and even the Jubilee has also catch up with the same. And we have SGR in a place which is not being utilized. They have opened up a depot, a CFS in Naivasha. Then that CFS, why don't we utilize that CFS? That one means bringing containers, export from Kericho to Naivasha, then from Naivasha to Mombasa. You catch up with the vessels. And that's how we can build the economy.
So somehow the government, the national government has somehow created the environment.
Exactly.
So where is the missing link? Is it that the investors are not completely convinced or what?
They are not. I think they are not completely convinced. I don't know the reason why, because this apparel industry is the most intensive labor industry in the world. And you can see this big economy, like you talk about Singapore. They started from this apparel. And you look at, they started apparel and then they moved out to, because this industry, you can devolve it as fast as possible because you don't need a lot. You only need an ultra-modern factory, set up everything, and bring in the machines, and people are there working.
I want to take you back to the year 2015, and the government was talking big about, opening up the all-carrier geothermal development site for companies, especially in the textile industry, to set up their base there. And there were multiple benefits. Number one, the transport through SGL. Number two, cheap electricity from geothermal. And number three, hot water, hot natural water, from the steams. More than 5 years down the line, I'm yet to hear any development around that. What became of it? Because I would want to imagine that you as a company, you'd be more than interested to set up your base there.
Yes, because you see, we were looking at setting up the mills in Naivasha. so that we can also source from the local, that we qualify for this AGOA thing instead of importing the raw material. The initiative of setting up a geothermal in Naivasha was a very good idea. And the only thing is that the investment in textile mills is a bit expensive. And okay, there are some other companies that have done some inquiries, and I'm told that maybe in 2 or 3 years they're going to set up. So we have to wait and see. That is a very good idea because we have a very big market. We are importing fabric from China. And if we set up those mills in Naivasha, we will not go importing goods from the other side. There will be a value supply chain that is coming into Kenya and then we export to US. That was a very good idea. But now the government should come in with, an action plan, because you can set up the policies and what have you, but if there's no action plan, try to look for these investors. Once you set up, that's what I'm saying, how is the setup of that, whatever, the geothermal and what have you? Have they set up any go down on any station or their office, a facilitation office to facilitate the investors? Maybe the investors come there and they find a very big land and say, no, this place, there's insecurity, this what. There are so many things they put into consideration. For you to win the heart of an investor, first of all, look at the security of the area. Have a conducive environment where you can set up your business. The government is supposed to put up, if it is a station, let the station be there. Let us have a security. Let us have KRA on a place. Let us have all these functions in the government and those parastatal as a one-stop shop. An investor should not come from Naivasha all the way to Nairobi to process company or whatever. Let them do it at one-stop shop. By doing so, we are going to win the heart of the investors. And I'm seeing there is a gap. Because any investor, as I told you, the principle of comparative advantage drives an investor to invest in our country, to the country. They look at all those aspects. And once they know that this place is secured, this place is, we can get a one-stop shop. All the documents will be facilitated on one place rather than traveling to other places. They are ready to invest.
So let's talk about, the extensive opportunities, provided by AGOA, which is coming to an end in 2025. And the US government is very keen not to, or they have said that there are no plans on the table to renew this. For an industry that exports almost 100% of its product, to the US market, you are staring at a very uncertain future that is likely to come in the next 4 years. You are hedging your hope on what?
We've been doing, because, okay, I cannot say that America is a huge market, but we are also looking at looking at market in UK, which is coming up. UK has a market also. And we have been exporting to various countries like Canada. And we hope the free trade agreement that the government is negotiating will not phase out the AGOA completely the way you're saying, because we'll still access the market, American market. Once the FTA is ratified, we'll still be in business.
But if it doesn't, it means that you have to access the market.
We have to access other markets, which will be also a challenge. Actually, the negotiations, I feel it's also going on very slow. They need to speed up very fast so that we can reposition ourselves properly and see what is the way forward. Because we're also trying to look for other markets outside USA. You cannot put the eggs in one basket. The risk management is the best way to survive in the business. So we are looking at where is this other market that we can sell our garments. We have Dubai, they're also buying from the same market. We have Canada, we have Australia, just opening up. So it's just a matter of trying to diversify so that in case the one door is closed, the other one is open, you can utilize that one. But this one is...
But how fast can you make such a turnaround?
It's not difficult, it's just a matter of trying to network and make sure that you get orders and try to, because running
and the other thing is that you do not have duty-free access to this market.
Yeah, that is the challenge. Then you need to you need to see how you can renegotiate and see the volume that you're producing. I don't know. There must be a way out in business. Yeah.
What do you think is likely to be the way out in this issue?
Well, as you said, South Africa is also a big market for us. It's just a matter of having a tripartite agreement.
It's big but very small compared to the US market.
Kenyans should now move ahead by having an agreement with various countries and a business bilateral agreement. So now see, we have, like right now we are leading in Africa in terms of export of agua to US market. They need to open up other markets and have agreement as such. Like South Africa, the demand maybe is very high for that. And you can see with this COVID thing, the demand for scraps and what PPEs is also there. So we can capitalize on that, because you see COVID in other industry, you find that it was people took advantage of that. It's a blessing in disguise. Some people made money out of this.
But you may be having, you know, the South African market may be big in demand.
Yes.
But when you throw in, but number one in volumes, of course, you know, are very small compared to the US market, and number two, there are duties that you have to pay because of the SADC, you know, the Southern Africa customs union thing, SACU actually. So it means that you still have challenges, you know, accessing.
We'll have challenges in
the South African market.
Yes.
And it may not be as lucrative as the US market.
Yeah, it may not be. The volume is also small, the way you're saying.
So what is likely to be the saving grace?
Well, first of all, we have to spearhead the FTA. Make sure that FTA goes on through, because the government is now negotiating, and I know Americans with the new leadership, they will give out a soft landing. They might not pin us down the bit.
Well, they are under no obligation.
Yes, definitely. Of course, they will.
You see, the FTA proposal was an idea of a bygone administration of Donald Trump. You have a new team that is in town, led by Joe R. Biden. And you know, they must sit down, look at all these agreements, look at all the negotiations. That is likely to take another maybe 1 year or so. You know, bring on board new negotiators and new experts. That is also likely to delay. But the beauty of it is that you still continue to access the market.
Exactly.
The question is, what if there is no breakthrough in these negotiations, you know, by the time we get to 2025?
As we speak now, I'm telling you, the market of Africa is also big.
The African market?
The African market is big. It's big enough. It's a cake that we can share. The only thing I was saying that is the government should move out very fast to have an agreement with Venezuela, because like a place like Zaire in Congo, I can see Sudan, they've not set up factories like this. I've seen a country like Comoros, they're buying from Kenya. So if we can capitalize on that weakness of the industrialized in various countries in Africa, we'll still penetrate, we'll still have market access of the market. Yeah, because government is a fast-moving consumer product. You cannot do without it. So there is still high demand. It's only that it's hidden somewhere. Our people have not explored the marketing in those countries. But you'll find that there's a very high demand. Because I've seen even Sudan, because in our factory in EPZ, the Sudan buying, the clothes for armed forces from EPZ.
Yes.
They have been placing orders, which means they don't have that kind of facility in their country. So we can exploit. We use that good fortune to move.
There's a market that, you know, Africans are yet to discover. Just last year but one, you know, Africa signed the African Continent Free Trade Area Agreement, you know, that covers about 52 countries with a combined population of 1.3 billion people. This, of course, is almost 5 times bigger than the American market, which has about 300 million people.
300 million people.
How comes, as an industry, I mean, you're not very keen on tapping this vast market?
You see, the problem we have is we are not the way we have the good policies in a place. Implementation is a big problem. We need to reach out. If you're marketing your product, you have to reach out to the customer. So it is the work of the government now to set up a marketing center to say that we are now going to market our products to, let's say, Namibia. We have countries like Malawi, like Zambia, that look, we are producing this product and we can still supply you. The market is still huge. You can see in Uganda when they were doing some election, they didn't have capacity to produce T-shirts.
Yeah.
They had to source from Kenya. That is another big market. And I remember somebody coming up with, he wants 150,000 T-shirts within a week. But I told him, we have to, you cannot produce these T-shirts within a week. We need to plan, bring in fabric and produce. So the market is there. It is just a matter of people laying down a proper strategy on how we can contact those people in the market and say, look, in Kenya we have, this is what we have and we are ready to supply. And by that we can still, as you are saying, it's a good idea. We should not rely on America. If the doors are closed, then we need to look for, we need to diversify and say, let us concentrate in Africa.
As an industry, are you having this conversation?
Well, we are trying. We are trying to see how we can roll up, because we are trying to see whether we can reach out to other markets in Africa and see whether we will succeed. Because the market is so huge, but it's only that even those Africans, they don't know, they are not aware that we are producing. They buy from China, while Kenya is ready to produce. That's what I'm saying. Lack of awareness. And it is, now Kenya can take that advantage.
But do you even have the capacity? I mean, look, you know, when you look at the quota, when you look at the quota,
exactly,
given to the American, given to Kenya by the American market, I mean, we have only barely scratched the surface, because when you look at our exports through AGOA, it's about 5.6%.
Yes.
So we have not even managed to tap the American market. Can we talk about also tapping the African market when we can't even satisfy the US market?
And that's why we are spearheading. We are trying to advise the government to be proactive and set up. We must have an affirmative action. Let us set up factories in each and every county. Let us produce, and then let's say we start producing. And say we have the garments here. Where do we sell? Then we look for the market. But if we just sit like this and say, these garments are only produced in Athi River, EPZ, there's no another place.
What is the rationale of, well, you might argue that the whole rationale of setting up, factories in, apparel factories in every county is to spur, economic development as well as create jobs. But look, there is the special economic zones.
It is going on.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're talking about in Mombasa, for example, huge around the Dongakundu area. They are just lying idle, waiting for investors. And you just process, pull them, load them onto a ship, export them.
The challenge we have is that the facilities, the land is there, the facilities are not there.
And when you're talking about facilities, you're talking
about those go-downs that are being built, ultra-modern go-downs to attract these investors. And that's what I'm saying. If you bring
But it's also up to investors to put them up, right?
No, can we do it the way Ethiopians are doing? The Ethiopian government has set up go-downs. And I think I've been at Bole and I've seen how many buildings are there. We are talking about over 57 units. 57 units in the zone. They are set up by the government. But of course, the government will still earn some revenue, because those go-downs are not put up for free.
You pay.
You will only bring in the investor and say, oh, look, I'll give you 4 months free. You'll employ like 4,000 people. After the 5th month, you start paying $1 per square feet. I'm telling you, you'll get so many investors coming in. I'm convinced they will come and set up business there. But the moment you just tell the investor, go, build, start construction, that's where we go wrong. Construct and start building. Now, the time factor, and maybe the market is already marketed. You know, they have the transit time when the time is also limited. But if you have those facilities, those ultra-modern facility in counties, the investors are there. These governors, they should be marketing those facilities in China and everywhere and say that, look, we have ultra-modern facilities in Kilifi, and we are looking for investors who can set up an apparel industry. We have an agua, we have incentive provided by EPZA. This is how the way forward. These investors will just come in. Even local investors will join. Right now, I can see so many of them that are interested in this business. But right as we are talking now, there are some who want to set up a business, but they don't have go-downs. There are no units. And each and every year we see some money being sent to the county government. I mean, I look at it and say, if these guys could have put up one unit here and employ these fellows, these employees will have, I mean, clinics, modern clinics that they can go for treatment. People go there and give service. They will open hospitals, they will open schools and everything. They'll go to private schools. The private schools will be there. So it will be a win-win situation to the community and to the county. The county will be earning the revenue because these people will also pay tax.
So that is the missing link here.
That is the missing link is the facility. You talk about, you have a land.
And how comes, you know, counties are yet to jump on board, you know, and seize this kind of opportunity?
There is some laxity. I think they don't want to implement. I think maybe for them, they look at it as something that is not important. But when the rain started beating, you know, people on the street, people looking for jobs, you find that you are addressing over 2,000 people on Wednesday while they are supposed to work. I mean, this is a challenge.
But they like that, don't they?
They like that because they want these people to be poor so that they'll be being given handouts. There's nobody who wants those people to be empowered. They only talk. But when you go to implementation, it is zero. I've only told you only one. I met and she did it. Honorable Charity Gill. She came and she said, 4 months, I'll set up a factory in Kitui. The factory is running. What will stop a governor in Nyeri to set up a factory? Nyeri is near Nairobi. We have airport. We have international airport in Eldoret. We have Kisumu International Airport. It's lying there. We are not utilizing those facilities. Those airports were not set up for only passengers. The airport was set up to air freight some cargo to other destinations. But which the airport is just seated idle there. We are just waiting for those passengers who will be flying.
Actually, you know, sometime back, about 10 years ago, you know, Eldoret International Airport was a major cargo destination, especially, you know, the horticulture.
Of course.
So, the industry, as you have seen, I mean, there is tremendous opportunities.
Of course.
Not just in the US, but also in Africa.
Yes.
But according to global dynamics, you know, China is expected to overtake the United States as the world's largest economy, even actually sooner than the expectations were. And we are talking about in about 6-8 years from now.
Yeah.
And so this is likely also to create a huge demand in the Chinese market.
Exactly.
Are you also trailing your eyes on the Chinese market as an industry?
We are trailing. We have to, that's what I say, we need to reposition ourselves. We need now to move from the place of saying that the county government should not turn to be a bureau, an employment bureau, whereby I just bring my cronies there to be employed, and they're doing that, they're earning salary. Let us try to expand and look at this opportunity, this great opportunity. Because we are looking at competitive-driven economy. We don't want an economy that is only for the elite, and these other guys are hungry on the road. If we can now start, we can say now it is enough is enough. Let us have an action plan. Let us move. Then we say, County A, how many facilities have you put there? County B, County C, up to 47 county. The unemployment issue will be zero. It will be zero. There will be nothing like that. Because you can see the South Korea, when it was difficult for them to revamp the economy, what they did, they went what we call, they introduced what we call mind education, changing people's culture, because they feel that now corruption is is an elephant, and to deal with the corruption is difficult. They went to mind education. They did it from the nursery to secondary up to university level until they grew up and can see where they are now. So it is us, like Kenyans, to now start thinking to reposition ourselves so that we grab this opportunity that is there. Kenya is endowed by the best human resources, I tell you. We can even export this human resource.
Well, and actually we are doing that.
Of course, we export. There are so many Kenyans working out because you see they come here, there's no jobs, they go back, they go work in Rwanda. They're doing all those things. And if we set our factories in counties, my friend, I'm telling you, the issue of unemployment, because I've seen what is happening in Taiwan. People are just walk out, get employment. They don't travel long, and they look at what they're earning. The rural people are just in rural, they're doing their own activities, that the schools are built, everybody is empowered.
Everyone is empowered.
Everyone is empowered. So,
Rudolf, you know, as we wind up in the interest of time, because Tamarini is coming up, you know, in a jiffy. Now, Mythis, what is the role of the private sector in inspiring investment around the apparel and textile industry? And what is the role of the public sector as well?
Well, I think the role of public sector is to make sure that the investors have a conducive environment of setting up the business. As I said, the investors are looking at the facilities. Are they facilitated? And how long? Do we have a stop shop? And how can I be facilitated if I set up a factory in Kilifi or in Migori? How faster is it for me to set up a business? The investors are there just looking for opportunities. And if we can still have a marketing plan and say that we are marketing our counties outside the world, the investors will come here calling. That's what I'm saying. But the only thing is that the public sector should make sure that the facilities are there. The environment should be conducive for investors. And then we'll have a competitive driven economy. We'll transform this economy at a very high rate, I'm sure.
That's all that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope the policy makers and policy implementers are watching.
Yeah, we hope.
And they do watch, actually.
Exactly.
And let's hope that, you know, they take the necessary actions to make this country, you know, a manufacturing hub, as it is the desire of Vision 2030.
Yeah.
Rudolf, thank you very much indeed for spending your morning with us.
Yes, thank you so much.
I appreciate it for your insight.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck to the industry.
Okay,
well, Rudolf Isinga is the managing director of New Age Garments based in Athi River, Machakos County, joining us here. His company is one of the largest producers and exporters of apparel to the United States. Of course, joining us to give us more insight on how, as a country, we can ramp up our textile industrialization. And as you have heard it from him, I mean, we just need to open up more spaces and, of course, do more to attract new investment around our counties. My name is O'Brien Kimani. We've been together for the last 2 hours or so. We started by a very interesting discussion around you know, the housing industry and how to stimulate this critical sector in a bid to create more houses for Kenyans. And now we have ended up the show with also discussing how to clothe more Kenyans and clothe the world using Kenyan apparel. Wow. Thank you for your time. O'Brien is my name.